Hey everybody, MJ here. Sorry, I don't want to hit the table. Got you on the table. Today we are talking about loving your age. And I'm taking that into, or taking you down a path of understanding what's happening through the ages in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, 50s, and beyond. Now, hear my heart. This is not a doom and gloom piece that I want to share with you, but we do have to cover what is going on as you age in your body, and why is it hard to lose weight, and flexibility, and what's going on with diseases of the body, and so forth. So if you're of the younger crowd, bear with me. I am going to touch on you guys first and take you through the ages. But you should be aware of what's to come so you can make better choices. I wish I had made better choices early on, and I'm sure I have a lot of friends that feel that way as well. And so if we can give you some insight on what's to come, then maybe you can avoid some of the things that we've gone through. And those of us that are of a more interesting age, or yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. We're going to talk about some things that you can do to change what's going on, the effects that are happening right now, and moving forward. Okay? So this is going to be, kind of look at this as your guide to staying your best at any age. So funny, you may or may not feel that different, but with every new decade, a woman's health needs shift. Often subtle, silent, and even invisible ways. So taking care of tiny changes can help head off big trouble, like heart disease, cancer, chronic illness in the years ahead, so you can tackle all the fun stuff on your life list. So here's how to stay ahead of health changes that matter most at 30, 40, 50, 60, and beyond. All right, so let's start with your 30s. What's going on in your 30s? You don't think a lot about what you eat. Even if you're in your 20s, you don't think a lot about what you eat. You have a pretty racing metabolism, and so, a lot of things can not affect you, or some, maybe not everyone feels that way, but I know for myself, I could, eat a bag of M&Ms and not eat for 2 days and not change a size. But you know what, with each child, because I had babies through my 20s, so with each child, that got harder and harder. So we're going to kind of, let's just focus starting at 30, because you guys that are in your 20s, you're racing towards 30, and there's lots of changes in those decade birthdays. So you probably don't think a lot about what you eat or consider what effect certain foods have on your body. I knew that I didn't want to be overweight and that overeating wasn't healthy, but that was the extent of my nutritional knowledge. And of course, eat your vegetables, which I didn't like at all. Salad was about it back in my 30s. So see if you can relate to this. Terrible eating habits included hefty portion sizes at home and when dining out, eating junk, eating sweets, cheese, peanut butter, and other foods for emotional comfort, constant snacking, a huge hunk of cheese, spoonfuls of peanut butter straight from the jar, late night eating, including sitting in front of the TV, mindlessly eating quarts of ice cream while everyone else was in bed, disregard for unhealthy ingredients such as sugar, sodium, which do nothing positive for your body, cleaning my plate, especially when dining out, regardless of whether I was full or not, a lack of regard for whether or not I was eating enough fiber daily. This was my 30s. The result? Weight gain. To compensate for the pounds I would gain, I simply reduced calories, avoided entire food groups, or avoided eating at all, which turned out to be a terrible strategy. It wreaked havoc on my metabolism. I bet you guys that are in your 40s and 50s can relate, right? So let's just talk about what's happening in your 30s. You have significant life changes that can heighten anxiety levels. Some of the most stressful of these include marriage, divorce, pregnancy, motherhood, raising young children, job relocations, career advancement, and more. which can trigger an overpowering desire to eat food for comfort or stress relief. Stress release. Stress relief or release, either way. A hectic, fast-paced lifestyle can make you turn to fast food diets and unhealthy snacking simply because they seem like the quickest and easiest way to keep hunger at bay. Zip through the drive-thru, right? Oh my goodness. High-stress work schedules leave you little time to plan what to eat for lunch. This is the 30s now, okay? So you become dependent on takeout, the communal candy jar that somebody has at work, or the office vending machine, whatever you can shove into your mouth while still working at your desk or running between meetings. I was venti mocha girl. I've talked about this at Starbucks. Triple shot, double shot, whatever I did, extra in that, 3 times a day. And maybe a scone. Indian corn, candy corn in the fall. So I totally get this, this plan of action that you have in the 30s. When your life becomes incredibly busy, family, friends, and obligations take priority, and exercise is usually the first item to fall off the to-do list, as well as any kind of clean eating. More items on the to-do list also mean fewer hours available for sleep each night. And we all know as you get older how valuable that is. Even though you may feel your body is strong and healthy, bone tissue begins to naturally become less dense in your 30s, and poor diet and lack of exercise can fuel the problem. Now remember what I said, this is not a doom and gloom piece. I have solutions. So hear my heart about what's going on and what we can do to fix it each decade. The process will continue if you don't change this. The process will continue to speed up through your 40s to the point where you're losing more bone cells than you're gaining. So what's the fix? Number 1, pair protein and complex carbohydrates in each meal. Number 2, ban unhealthy snacks. Number 3, eat away at stress rather than letting stress eat away at you. I know you've probably heard some of these, if not all of them, but seriously, let it absorb today, okay? Number 4, learn to plan and prepare meals in advance. Number 5, avoid alcohol and caffeine. Number 6, get 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. Number 7, steer clear of cans and boxes. That's food. Canned food and boxed food. Number 8, increase your natural sources of calcium, staying blood type compliant, of course. Number 9, don't forget your magnesium. Okay, that's the 30s, so let's move on. So what's happening in your 40s? It's time to rev up your metabolism. Hormones are powerful substances in your body that control virtually all your bodily functions, including regulating certain cells, organs, and sexual functions. Every year you produce slightly less estrogen and progesterone until you reach your 40s and suddenly become aware of the effects of this slow tapering off. This time period is often referred to as perimenopause. Hormone changes related to this stage of life are typically associated with hot flashes, night sweats, irritability, irregular periods, and weight gain, and mark the transition to actual menopause, which is the point at around age 50 where you don't have a period for an entire year. Let me put a little side note in here. I did not go through those things. In my early 40s, I had a couple of night sweats right before, at age 43, I began my body transformation. Got my body fat down to 12% during that champion transformation contest. I never went through that. For the next 2 to 3 years, my periods tapered and just completely stopped. I never had hot flashes. The night sweats were the only thing, and I had a couple of those before I did that. There is a direct link, I believe, to menopause, perimenopause, and the symptoms, the side effects of that, and fat loss. Your diet. Most people, to feel better, one of the main things that I would see people do is going out with friends and drinking wine. Worst thing you can do going through that time in your life. Eating sweets, eating fat, lots of bad saturated fat. So I'm sharing that little side note with you. I did not go through those things. My mom did, so it's My grandmother did too, apparently. So it's not like, well, everyone's going to go through those side effects when it comes to going through perimenopause. I did not. And I know many of my fit friends, in the industry that keep their diet balanced and body fat lower have the same exact story. So for those of you that are not there yet, or maybe you are going through this, I want to encourage you, now is the time to lose the fat. I didn't say anything about the scale. It is fat loss that you have to get your head wrapped around. And that's what we talk about in Body by MJ. That's what we really zero in on. Okay, so back to your 40s. Heart disease risk, stroke risk in women, both of those increase with age. Major risk factors include high cholesterol, diabetes, being overweight, and excessive alcohol intake, all which can be controlled or lessened through what we eat, as I just said. Cancer risk increases with age. The average onset of the 5 most prevalent types of cancer in women, breast, lung, colorectal, uterine, and ovarian, is in the 40s. These diseases are all linked to high-fat diets and obesity, as well as other poor lifestyle habits, such as lack of exercise. Aging can begin impacting your brain function as early as age 40, affecting such cognitive skills as memory, learning ability, and attention span. If you're in your 50s, you know that one. And you fight it. Because your metabolism begins slowing in your 30s, at a shocking rate of about 2 to 5% every 10 years, you consequently burn between 50 to 100 fewer calories a day. By the time you reach your 40s, you're losing up to 8% of your muscle mass every decade. All right, so that's the doom and gloom, if you want to call it that. So what's the fix? When it comes to fitness, rebuild muscle mass. I didn't start weight training till I was 43. I had never done that. I didn't know how. So don't let somebody tell you can't get shredded and you can't put on muscle if you're in your 40s or your 50s or beyond. It's BS. Rebuilding muscle mass with a few weekly strength training sessions, 8 to 10 exercises that hit all major muscle groups done 3 times a week are all you need. Really, bottom of the barrel. Now, if you want a more strategic plan, that's what our Body by MJ program is all about. But just an 8 to 10 repetitions series will suffice if you use enough resistance. Use less resistance if you're new to strength training. You also need 30 minutes a day of cardio most days of the week. So those of you that are in your 40s, did you just hear that? It's not all about cardio, but you need cardio most days of the week, added to your strength training. You can't just do cardio. You've probably heard that before, but I'm going to tell you again. All right, so how do you fix your diet in your 40s? Well, you fill half your plate with produce, a quarter with muscle-building lean protein, and a quarter with whole grains, and serve with low-fat yogurt or a glass of milk. Of course, keeping blood type compliant. So it's even more strategy dialed in. So, protein from lean meats, beans, soy, and low-fat dairy provides building blocks for new muscle. Of course, see blood type compliant proteins. Low-carb vegetables contain fiber and nutrients that prevent heart disease and diabetes and fill you up so you don't overeat. So let me give you some tips for your 40s. Number 1, identify foods that cause you to gain weight and eliminate them. I can tell you right now, off the top of my head, the thing that will put on weight aside from sugar, because sugar is nothing more than stored body fat. So aside from any sugar choices, which I don't typically make, the number 1 thing that will put weight on me like that is trail mix. And I know it, I feel it, it hits my chest, hits my gut. Just takes a few days, maybe a week, in order to experience that. So do you know the one food that puts weight on you in a snap? You should, and you need to get rid of it. No questions asked. Number 2, start the day with a glass of hot water mixed with the juice of 1 lemon. If you don't have a lemon, buy a big thing of lemon juice from, I get mine from, Costco or Sam's, and I just squirt in the bottom of my coffee cup, put the hot water in first thing every morning. It cleanses your liver. Okay? Number 3, balance your liver. It cleanses everything, not just that. Number 3, balance your diet with more plant-based protein sources, including soy, lentils, legumes, almonds, and quinoa. Of course, refer to your blood type diet highly beneficial list. Number 4, get your disease-fighting fiber regularly. Guys, if you're in your 20s, 30s, you're going to hit 40 and wish you'd have figured this out. So in your 40s, boy, really dial in the fiber. And you get that so easily from eating an apple in the morning, from having greens, raw greens, not iceberg lettuce, but actual green leaf, red leaf, romaine, and spinach. Wonderful sources of fiber. Number 5, continue eating a heart-healthy diet rich in natural sources of calcium. Number 6, add halibut, my favorite seafood, to your meal plan for additional heart health. Number 7, increase your intake of magnesium for mood and heart protection. Number 8, eat a handful of nuts to reduce diabetes risk. Number 9, incorporate memory boosters to improve brain function. And number 10, eat more pumpkin for all-around health. Here's a little tidbit in your 40s. Use your strength. You're coming into your own. So get sassy with it. I'd kick the ass of my 25-year-old self in spin class and boot camp today, no problem. I also used to try hard to believe inner beauty was more important. I'd try really hard to believe that, but now I just know it is. Finally, I'm not afraid to make mistakes, and neither should you, because I've made many, and I'm sure you have too, and guess what? The sky has not fallen. So, moving on. So what's happening in our 50s? Protect your bones. As you age, your metabolism naturally slows down to both aging and lifestyle, making it more challenging to keep weight off, even if your nutrition is on the money. Boy, do I know this one. By age 65, you've lost up to 1/3 of your muscle mass thanks to gradual declines in metabolic efficiency of 3 to 6% each decade. Please keep strength training. Please keep eating protein so you don't help that along. Drinking water becomes even more important as we get older. As you age, you become more prone to dehydration for a variety of reasons. As I want to take a sip. Clear the throat. The most significant of these is being that there is an increasing inability to recognize when we're thirsty. Think about that one. I think about my parents and my grandparents, did they pay attention to that? It also takes longer to understand that we require hydration, and the urgency to quench thirst drops in intensity. So we need more hydration, but we can't recognize it. Boy, that's a huge one. A more sedentary lifestyle also contributes to dehydration. Hypertension or high blood pressure becomes an even more critical issue. Your body undergoes a steady increase in blood pressure with each advancing decade. However, after age 50, blood pressure tends to rise even more steadily due to menopause. Hypertension can be controlled and possibly prevented through eating foods rich in vitamins, antioxidants, and other nutrients. Here's the big one. Not that the others aren't as important, but this is what's so prevalent in our society today. Type 2 diabetes becomes more prevalent in your 50s. Your risk for developing type 2 diabetes increases as the body loses its ability to use glucose, a type of sugar found in the blood. This happens when your body becomes resistant to or doesn't produce enough insulin, the hormone responsible for regulating sugar in your cells, typically as a result of poor diet or lack of exercise. Heart health is more important than ever in your 50s. It is recommended that you get screenings for colorectal cancer beginning at 50 for women or earlier if you have a family history of the disease. Even if you think your memory is as sharp as it's ever been, I'm so guilty of this one. Now's the time to boost brain health with smart nutrition. I'm dialing that in with my clients. We are going to really talk about Evanat. We are going to really talk about things that you can do to increase brain function, brain booster flavoring in things. So I'm really diving into this because I notice, there's times that I'm just like, can't think of a word, or you're just off. It's just not balanced, and you know it. So I'm going to really dial this one in. Bone loss caused by the depletion of minerals in bone tissue, which makes them weak and can lead to osteoporosis. Okay, so here are some important health shifts that can occur. You're navigating the final years of menopause, perimenopause, which means hot flashes, night sweats, sleep. What sleep? And arriving finally in menopause. So what's ahead? Well, I hate to tell you, more weight gain is possible. I didn't say probable. It's possible. And risk of heart disease rises as estrogen levels fall. You can lose 5 to 10% of bone density in the spine and hip over 5 years during menopause. So listen, take control. I don't think all hormonal changes are all negative after a lifetime of horrible menstrual cycles, PMS, painful ovulation, and being vulnerable to sexual attraction rather than using common sense. Don't you agree? I love the freedom of menopause, right? So let's stop talking about it like it's a curse. So what's the fix? Well, in fitness, keep up the strength training. It benefits bones. And be sure your aerobic routine is weight-bearing, like running, walking with faster pace intervals, and light jogging. Even walking upstairs can help pound your bones. Now, I know some have suffered, as I have, with plantar fasciitis, and there's ways around that, and I help my clients with that. Because we want to continue to get that pounding aerobic routine to keep those bones strong. So bear with me. When I say running and you've got plantar fasciitis fired up, I understand the thought of that is extremely painful. But it can be fixed, okay? On nutrition, how do you fix the nutrition in your 50s? Well, it's encouraged to skip calcium supplements in favor of food sources of the mineral, such as dairy and fortified soy. Okay, keep blood type compliant with that. Calcium is better absorbed via food. I get that. But if you aren't going to eat enough of that to get the recommended daily need of calcium, then I encourage you to take a supplement, a good supplement. You want to aim for 1,200 milligrams a day. So let me give you some tips for your 50s. Number one, stay hydrated by drinking 10 8 ounces or 250 milliliter glasses of water a day. Number two, work almonds into your diet and to keep cholesterol down. Number three, avoid table salt to reduce sodium intake. Now, if you're type O, you can have a little extra. Number four, eat more cancer-fighting produce. Number five, season food with brain boosters, which I already touched on. Number six, supplement foods that fight depression. There is such a thing. Number seven, increase your magnesium intake for relief of menopausal symptoms. Number eight, take soy for additional menopause relief. I have found soy protein with BCAAs in grape is fabulous. So I will share more of that with those that are interested. Number nine, substitute immune boosting green tea for coffee. I drink it all afternoon. Number 10, eat natural appetite suppressants. Yes, there is such a thing. Chia seeds would be one. Number 11, add more heart-healthy calcium-rich foods to your diet. Number 12, eat omega-3 fatty acids for additional cardiovascular protection. Number 13, increase your berry intake. Now, we're in our 50s here. Use your strength. You know who you are and what you want, so go for it. The best thing about being in your 50s is that you now know what you want and what you don't want. And what you want is to have fun. So, last but not least, what's happening in your 60s and beyond. The focus is to stay balanced. The health shifts that come along with that are, of course, the risk of falls rises sharply now. Connective tissue becomes stiffer and less elastic with age. Oh, keep the yoga going. Meanwhile, you may feel more socially isolated due to retirement, divorce, or maybe widowhood. Too much alone time boosts odds of depression and raises risk of an early death by 26%, says one study. So what's the fix? The fitness fix, ask a friend to join you for a walk or join a class at a local gym or studio. Continue strength training and weight-bearing cardio workouts. Sign up for volunteer work. It can boost your mood and social life and add physical activity. And the diet fix? Well, limit your fat intake to 25 to 35% of total calories each day. Half of all people over age 65 have prediabetes. And slashing saturated fat found in butter, full-fat dairy, and fatty meats, and eating more produce can cut the risk of your diabetes, get this, by 71%. That's huge. So you need a diet plan, right? You need a nutrition plan that is for optimal health. I got one. Use your strength in your 60s. You embrace yourself just as you are. Enjoy every moment. Your life is full of fun, adventure, accomplishments, friends of all ages, with a new road to take every day. So there we have it. I hope it's been of some help to you. Love your age. I hope this brings some things to light and gives you solutions to move forward and learn to love your age. Remember this, each day is a gift, and I'm sure you can join me in saying, I now know that the heart doesn't really break, that trouble doesn't last always, and love is really friendships on fire. With age comes experience and wisdom, and I love the fact that I can now put it all to good use. So, love on yourself today. Hope you have a great day, and thanks for being here. Until next time, I'll see you later.